let's talk about those New York Giants. We're not going to talk about them a ton throughout the show, but one of their first round picks, Abdul Carter, goes third overall at Penn State. Some number controversy. Controversy is a little strong. That's a strong term. I think it's just some bold takes for what number he wants to wear. Started with trying to pry away the big 5'6" from Lawrence Taylor. Got shot down. That's not happening. Some renderings of Phil Simms potentially wanting to give him number 11 because number 11 was his number at Penn State. Don't think that's going to happen, but guys, what are your thoughts? What number should he wear? Should he take one of these numbers? He's not getting 56. Should he wear 11, or should he take LT's advice and just pick his own number and create his own legacy?
You look at any legend in sports. I mean, I'm obviously extremely biased, but the number 12 meant nothing to the Patriots before Tom Brady wore it, and there's a reason. It's because you kind of have to create that legacy for yourself. I don't see it as like a disrespectful move that like he wants to like wear these numbers. Like or the only number that he really outwardly was like, oh, can I wear this is LT's 56. But then there was obviously the dialogue about Phil Simms is number 11. And I don't see it as like anything disrespectful. Like it's clear it's probably more of a homage than anything, like being inspired to want to wear that number. But at the same time, it's like, this is, you're going to like start your own legacy in the NFL. Any legend, that number meant nothing at one point, and it was as important as the person wearing it made it. So to me, I think because of all the excitement surrounding, his entry into the NFL, and especially how excited Giants fans were with the pick, like the fact that the consensus was pretty straight positive across the board, like we got our guy, this is who we needed to draft. I don't think there's any reason why he shouldn't be taking his own number, rolling with it and building something with it and kind of starting his own legacy, because LT is also crazy. That's crazy shoes to fill. That could be the greatest defensive player in the history of the NFL right there. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it put a little bit of a sour on his draft. Not like anything significant. He's still going to be a dog, but it was just kind of, I thought it was personally unfortunate to see that. You always want to see a guy come out and make his mark. But I will say, like, there are instances where it does make sense. Like, LeBron chose 23 because of Michael Jordan. Those are the biggest shoes you could possibly fill, and he filled them. Now, there's a difference. LeBron never played for the Bulls. So, like, I think it's when it's the same team, there's definitely, it's more complicated. And there's more of, like, a directly, like, everybody's going to think LT when they think Abdul Carter if they were to wear the same number. Whereas, like, LeBron's his own guy, different team, etc. They both wore 23 at one point, but it's not really that big of a deal. So I do think Abdul Carter should go with his own number. It's a different situation, but it's not super outrageous.
I compare it to what we saw last year, and Ray Flaherty, a name that I think definitely none of us on this show today knew about in New York Giants history, played a very, very long time ago. Malik Neighbors gets his number unretired by the blessing of the family, saying, hey, yes, Malik can wear this number, and I think he definitely lived up to that. This is no disrespect to Ray Flaherty whatsoever, but we're talking about two numbers that have formed the face of the Giants franchise in the Super Bowl era.
For sure.
Outside of Eli Manning and others, they started it. Phil Simms, LT, started what is one of the more successful, even albeit not the last 10 years or so, but one of the more successful franchises in terms of Super Bowl victories since Super Bowls became a thing. And that was one of the better teams of their time, too. Those Giants teams, those Giants defenses as well. So you're kind of flirting with fire a little bit. And I don't blame Lawrence Taylor to have the response that he did. If I had the kind of career that Lawrence Taylor had, I probably would have said something along the same lines. Like, yeah, I'm known as one of the best defensive players, if not the defensive player of all time. I did that. Like, that's my number kind of thing. But you're that good, you can make your own legacy too. So Phil Simms, I think, is a little bit different because he offered it. Abdul Carter didn't go out and say, yeah, can I wear that number?
Right.
But I still think when it comes to two guys of that magnitude, where I would say a majority of the fan base now was alive, no matter how old they were, to see them dominate the NFL for that 5-year stretch that they did. It just wouldn't have worked out. It wouldn't have worked out. That would have been very controversial. And wow. Oh man. Crazy. My apologies. I lost my train of thought. A lot of that the fan base is around for those numbers to be in play. Like, that's LT's number, that's Phil Simms' number. No one else should wear that. Abdul Carter, not to say that he wouldn't be great, he needs to be really, really great if he were to wear 56, though.
Well, yeah, because also any team with an amount of, like, a significant amount of history, like, it's not like every single number retirement in a team's history is, like, this larger than life figure. Like, there's people who get their numbers retired for various reasons. So it's also a matter of, like, it's kind of like what you said, where it's not like you have to show a baseline level of respect for every person who has ever got their number retired, because that's a monumental feat and something that very few athletes in the course of, you know, professional sports history actually get to see done to their jersey number. But then there's also kind of a hierarchy in jersey number retirements.
For sure.
And I just think it's a very, very big ask, even though it was done respectfully. And I also think LT denied it incredibly respectfully. Like, it was a constructive, like, like, this is mine, but like, you should also want to go take your own New Jersey number and make it go get it retired. Like, that's essentially kind of what the message he was sending. But yeah, I think I'm somebody who, I would say, stay away from retired numbers altogether. I understand if you have, like, a deep connection to a certain number, like in some cases it worked, like with Malik Neighbors. Like, there's cases in which, like, you know what, you wanted the number, you asked, it was the right family that wanted to give that blessing, and that's completely fine. But I just think it's an enormous ask. Like, this could be, LT could be the greatest to some, he's the greatest defensive football player in the history of the NFL. It's not just, oh, he might be the greatest number retiree of the Giants. Like, this is a Mount Rushmore of defensive players type player. And I think it's just an incredibly large ask before you've even taken your first training camp snaps.
It's also like, it's not like you wore that number in college.
No.
Like, there's no ground. Like, if you came out and were like, yo, Phil Simms, like, I get like, that would make more sense.
Sure,
You're a
sure.
Giants
Oh,
great,
for sure.
but I love 11. Maybe, I still think that's a big ask. That's Phil Simms, but that's an understandable ask. 56 just makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
If I'm Abdul Carter, I'm picking a number as soon as possible and ending this.
Yeah.
Because if you just prolong this process,
so stupid.
it is a little silly.
It's gonna
It's
start
a little silly, and then it's going to start these not great narratives in the New York market.
So true.
And
And those stick
he's
in New York.
really, really, the longer you drag this out, you need to play. You need to be defensive rookie of the year.
And it's
Like, you just have to be.
And it's gonna extend a media cycle that no one is asking for.
And that's
you don't need it.
it's a stupid thing about, like, New York specifically, big markets, New York specifically, is stupid little stories are really sticky.
Yeah.
And they get you into just dumb situations.
They're like micro fractures that
Yeah.
end up being really big in glass.
I like that. That's great. Like, you saw it with, like, Odell, just like little post game comments, a little tackle of the net, all these things, and it's like, oh, he's not a locker room guy.
Builds up,
Yeah.
and then you get traded.
And then you're gone.
Exactly. Just like Odell's a prime example of that.
Yeah.
You hit some kind of height, one little thing it's a little misstep, and then another one, and then it just spirals out of control, and then you're a Cleveland Brown. So you just don't want that to happen whatsoever. One more note on this before we head to our first break, and then we'll advance and talk to the Knicks as they advance. What number is Jackson Dart going to wear? I think he's going to wear 2, because that was Drew Lock's number, right?
I
He's
like
gone.
that.
Yeah.
I
think
also
2 makes
love
sense.
2. Like, that's
I think
fun.
that's a dope
Yeah.
number.
Right?
I
Isn't
think
that-
that's an
isn't
awesome
that cool?
number. Yeah.
That's also, like, that has a lot of room for marks to be made on that number.
Yeah.
He could do a whole lot with that number, and that is Jackson Dart's number.
Yeah, absolutely. Abdul Carter has the same grounds where he can just pick a number. In the 50s, in the teens, it's got to be one of those 2 categories, though. I don't think it can be anywhere other from 50 to 59 or from 10 to 19. He's got to wear a number in those 2 ranges there. But
I would love a teen. That would be,
teen
I
would
think
be
it would
really
be
cool.
tough. I think it'd be
Teen
really
would be
cool.
really
especially
cool.
as, like, one of the defense players making mark on a teen. That's not super common. That would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have a 0 and a 5 and a teen and a 97.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's going to look so cool. Or you can join Bobby and wear a number in 50s. He's great too. But hopefully the number controversy does come to an end once again. Strong word to use. It's not really a controversy. You just don't want it to get to that point. But with that being said, we'll wrap up our Giants segment here, talking numbers. Abdul Carter, Jackson Dart, Giants hit it out of the park with that draft. In my opinion, I think all of us can agree.
Yeah,
Giants
they sure
did a
did.
great job.
Oh, yeah.
They absolutely did.
Hopefully that translates to the gridiron. We'll just have to wait and see, though. We'll head to our first break. When we come back, Knicks' second-round date with the Boston Celtics. Electricity. Celtics 4-0 against the Knicks. Can the script be rewritten? We'll talk about it here on 1-on-1.